Hi, Dean Hummels.
Hey, how are you doing, Ken?
Good. How are you?
I'm well, thanks.
Good. Good to see
Getting
you.
ready for the onslaught.
What'd you say?
I said we're getting ready for the onslaught.
I know. It's right around the corner. I'm excited.
It is, in fact.
Great view too behind you. Good to see everything.
Hey, and I'll tell you what, it's the streets are starting to fill up with people. You'll see folks walking around behind me, which has been a little different than our last few talks. So it's
Sure.
good.
That's awesome. So for those who don't know, my name is Kent Berkman. I'm a rising junior in Krannert, double majoring in marketing and Spanish. And I'm joined today by Dean David Hummels, the Samuel R. Allen Dean of the Krannert School of Management. Dean Hummels, thanks for being with us as always. I appreciate it.
Hey, my pleasure. I'm super looking forward to our conversation today, and also to having everybody back on campus with us.
Agreed. Definitely excited about that. So Dean Hummels, today we're going to talk about just a fall update and see if you have any more information to share for our return to campus. And one of the things that fluctuates a lot state by state is the COVID case numbers that test positive and negative.
Yep.
So could you give us a little update on how Indiana is looking right now?
Yeah, happy to do that. So I think like a lot of places, we saw a surge in late July and early August. Those numbers have started to come down now, which is, I think, great news. And it's really a testament to the fact that people are taking much more seriously their responsibilities, both to their own health and to everyone else's, by social distancing, keeping masks on in public, and the rest. And I think it's amazing what a little bit of mild inconvenience can do to protect everybody's health. So we're starting to see some good effects from that.
Absolutely. So one of the things that President Daniels and the Safe Campus Task Force implemented to try to help a safe return to campus for students is the mandatory testing for undergrad students. Do you have any info on those stats of how many students turned back positive?
Yeah, so we've gotten virtually all of the tests back. I think they're down to just a small handful of students who haven't sent their information in. And what we're finding is a positivity rate, meaning you tested positive for the virus, of around, I think it's around half of 1%. So that means that 99.5% of the people who are returning to campus have tested negative, which is great news for us. I think the other thing, which is a very big piece of this, is the tests that we're using are because they're pretty simple to use, and it's kind of hard to screw it up. We feel like we've got good quality samples, and that's actually a real number. Some of the other universities have used different approaches that, frankly, I think have not been so successful. And we feel really good about what we've got. So have you done your test yet, by the way?
I have. I did it about a week ago.
And what was that like? Was it a pain in the neck? Was it no big deal? What was your thought?
It went really well. It's kind of one of those bizarre experiences. It's just part of our new normal now, something you're not used to doing previously. But there's several ways that they can test for the virus. They can go up the nose, they can do the back of the throat. But since this one was self-administered, you actually spit into a tube. So you fill it up with saliva, and then just to make sure it's Kent's saliva, they have you on a Zoom call too with a health instructor. So it's just one of those bizarre experiences. A little awkward, but it went really well, and I got my test result negative actually within like 48 hours.
Well, that's good to hear. I think one of the real problems we've had around the country is the inability to get tested back in a timely fashion. And, I don't know about you, I've been spitting for a long time. And so I feel like the ability to fit in a test tube is well within my wheelhouse. It's hard to screw it up.
Agreed. It's definitely something that's easy to do. It's just a little different, which is totally fine.
You don't typically put it in the mail to people?
No, believe it or not, that's not in my normal tasks for the day. But I was happy to do it that one time, so it worked out.
Cool.
So I was really impressed when I found out that Purdue was implementing that, and my parents were too. I think it's just another testament to Purdue trying to keep us safe and helping protect the students' return, which is really great.
Well, it's we've been working for 5 months now, and it's kind of one of those no stone unturned kind of efforts. And, you'll see when you come back, because they're, in addition to the kind of obvious, like wearing masks,
Right.
a lot of the, like, bathroom doors, right? So all of the bathrooms where you normally grab and pull a door open, if you look down at the bottom of the door, there's a little place where you can use your foot to open the door. So you don't.
Oh,
So it's like it doesn't seem like a big deal, but then you start thinking about, all right, how am I gonna? I've just washed my hands. I want to keep them clean. Well, that's do it. So there are hundreds of little things like that all over campus, which are really all about, do I make it easy for people to stay healthy and stay safe. You're going to find when you get back up on campus that there are tents everywhere, where students can, and they're sort of set up tent tables, plexiglass, where students can go for meals, but also study while the weather remains, and do it in a way that's safe and healthy. So lots of investment, lots of thinking that's gone.
I've heard about those, and the nice part is you should obviously still wear your mask, even though the plexiglass is there. But the nice part is you can be outdoors, and
No, exactly.
For the few months, once we get back to campus, the weather's pretty nice out, so it's good to enjoy it while it's there.
Tell you what, it's mid 70s and sunny right now, and as soon as I get done here, I'm putting the cocoa butter on, and go out to the world, soak up some rays.
It's really comfy out. It sounds great.
Yep.
So Dean Hummels, some universities in the last few days have made the change to fully remote learning for the semester, or they're delaying their return to campus just because of change in numbers. What do you think puts Purdue in a different situation for that?
Yeah, so I think there are a couple of things. The first is, honestly, I don't want to criticize other places too much, because everybody's in a different setting.
Right.
I think our back to school testing plan is a lot more rigorous, robust than others are. I think the plans that I mean, let's be honest. The likelihood is that even though we have a very, very positive rate, and we've caught the people who already have the virus in their system, so I think that puts us in a good place to start with. The likelihood is someone is going to, right? And so then the next step in that is taking one case from becoming 10 cases, from becoming 100 cases, from becoming 1,000, right? That's what we really have to work on. And so what I'm really confident in is both the health and safety measures that we've put in place to prevent outbreaks from occurring, and also the sort of contact tracing and the information in place gives us a really major advantage compared to every other place where I understand what they're doing. I think, honestly, talking to my Big Ten colleagues, we're much better situated to control this than anybody.
I'm sorry, Dean Hummels, but is there any way you could move around in the room just so we could hear you a little better?
Yeah, sure. We'll go over this way. Here I come. Am I getting a better signal now?
That works. That's great. Technology is great when it works, isn't it?
Oh, I know. For sure.
That's great to hear that the Big Ten schools are more comfortable, and it seems like we're in a better place than other schools, which is a positive for sure.
Yeah, and look, I think we have to be realistic about this. There's a we're dealing with an unpredictable virus here, and we're going to make every effort. So, President Daniels said last week, look, we have made every investment we can think of. We're taking every precaution we can, but at the end of the day, a lot of this is going to come down to behavior.
Right.
And if we can get people to do the right thing, we've got a great chance to make this successful. But people have got to do the right thing.
Right. And you mentioned the contact tracing. I know we spoke about that a few Instagram lives ago, that the Safe Campus Task Force would need to implement that when students come back. Do you have any info on that, or is that still something that's in the works for Purdue?
So that's in place right now, and it's already working. The reality is the way that's going to work is they collect quite a bit of information about who is where on campus, and it's all anonymized, right? So it's not like someone's snooping and saying,
Sure.
aha, Kent's in the parish library right now. It's all about figuring out who you've been proximate to for how long and what context.
Right.
And they've got a whole bunch of data streams that helps them with that. And then the idea of it really is that they can do two things. If someone does test positive, they will instantaneously know everybody who's been proximate to them for an extended period. And then we'll reach out to those individuals with contact tracers and let them know what's going on and have them get tested and so on. That's how you prevent one case from becoming 100 pretty quickly. And then I think the other thing about it is it's done in a way that is totally non-invasive. We're not the only thing that the people running the system know is you've been close to this person, right?
Right.
For a period, and on the basis of that, we're going to follow up. But we're not tracking. We're not I don't have a list of where you were at all
Sure.
points in time yesterday. So I think that's really good. And will be very helpful to us in preventing something from getting out of hand. The other thing that it does, though, is it gives us intelligence about natural clusters. And a cluster is just what is a grouping of people who spend a lot of time together, either because of what classes they take or where they're living or whatever. And so that's really very useful for us to understand the sort of social progression of this sort of thing in order to help people get safer for surveillance testing. So there'll be some surveillance testing that goes on during the year to make sure that the very, very low positivity rates we started with remain low.
Stays low. It's pretty remarkable, really, that all the things we can do with technology and science to help prevent the spread. You learn about all these things like the contact tracing and everything else. It's pretty crazy.
Well, there's some remarkable tools, and you have to figure out how to use them intelligently. And we're in a very good position here at a university like Purdue that we've got local and local technology that help us to pull this off.
Right.
But not everybody's so fortunate.
Exactly. Right. Which leads to the other schools having different situations.
Yeah.
So also, I know that incoming freshmen studying on campus are back, or now there, because they started BGR or BGRI. And that process was online this semester to meet with social distancing requirements. Do you have any info on how that's been going so far?
So I think it's been good. One of the things that we've seen over the last week is a lot more students on campus, though, and a lot more students. And actually, one of the things that's sort of heartening for the nervous folks is people are interacting. Look like everybody's having fun, but they're doing it socially distanced with masks on. But they're still having, if you remember back to your BGR experience and, making friends and enjoying being around, that's all still happening. It's just happening with masks on and with people, 6 feet apart so that we can do it safely. So I think one of the things that it gives me some confidence about is it's possible to have a fun, highly engaging experience here with us, even as we're doing these kind of behavioral things that are critical to our success.
And the other thing too that's totally changed based off social distancing is the dining experience for students. Do you see students waiting in the dining rooms or walking around with their to-go food because of it?
So kind of where I sit right now, I haven't seen it. There were some interesting photos and some social media posts of some kind of long line, but I think they're sort of working through the details on some of that stuff. But I believe the way it's working is that people are eating outside the dining halls. They are in order to make sure there's plenty of space and we're not kind of overloading the systems, you sort of queue up outside and you get your food and you take it to one of the designated tents or back to your room or a park bench or something like that. So you don't have, thousands of people all eating together outside.
Right.
And actually, one of the things that we've learned from the scientific experts on this is that eating, so you can't obviously wear a mask when you're eating.
Right.
And so one of the real danger spots is if you get a bunch of people eating together indoors, unmasked, a foot or two away from each other, that's really a pretty dangerous situation in terms of sharing air and possibly transmitting virus. So everything that we're trying to do in terms of both the dining experience, but also like in a typical year, we'd have all kinds of events in the drawing room where everybody's eating pizza and having a
Sure.
Coke, whatever. And so we won't be doing a lot of that stuff because just eating and talking really close to each other is a pretty high risk environment. So
Right.
so we won't do that for a few months, and then we'll get through this, and then we'll be back to normal as quickly as possible.
Right. You mentioned the outdoor part. I've heard from clubs already in Cranor that are, instead of doing club meetings in like the Rawls conference rooms or the Cranor conference rooms, they'll be hosting them outdoors, like in a park or outside behind Cranor, just to try to mitigate the being indoors effect.
Yeah, and I'm really glad to hear you say that, because I think our student clubs and our student organizations are going to play an incredibly important role this year in making sure that students are engaged and having a great, both a great learning experience and a great social experience.
Right.
And all you have to do is ask yourself, so much of what we do in life, we're like, okay, this is the way we did it last year, so let's keep doing it that year. Let's do it next year and next year and so on. And if you ask yourself, what are we trying to accomplish? What's the fundamental aspect of our mission? And then you'll say, okay, so eating pizza together in a classroom doesn't have to be central to what we do. We can get together, we can learn, we can have fun, we can be social. We just got to do it in an environment that protects everybody's health.
Exactly. It's so true. College is a really fun time. You can have a great time with college and friends and family, and obviously the academics are super important as well, but it's important to still have a great time while you're at school and maintain the distance and wear the masks, but at the same time have a great college experience too.
For sure. In fact, I was on a call yesterday with all the other deans, senior leadership, and a lot of the call was focused very specifically on this question, which is, if everybody's having a miserable time, first of all, that's not why they come to college. And second of all, the likelihood that we keep, that things continue in a positive direction behaviorally is going to be undermined. And so we had a lot of conversation around how the pieces of student life that we can really impact through student clubs and student orgs and those kinds of things. We really want to put even more effort and attention into making those as good as they can be, so that students have a great time while they're here.
Yeah, I think the student orgs and the fraternities and sororities have done a great job adapting, and I've heard about the ones I'm involved in and ones friends are involved in, so I agree. I think that'll be a great part of it, and I think that'll help create some involvement, which is great.
Fabulous.
On another topic, Dean Hummels, one of the things that changed quickly when COVID was beginning in the United States, Purdue decided to cancel their study abroad programs, the current ones and the future ones, obviously just because things were uncertain. Do you have any info on when that should be planning on being resumed?
Yeah, so that's a lot of that's kind of up in the air right now, and among other things, Americans aren't actually allowed to enter most countries right now, because so the first thing that's got to happen before anything else is that other countries have confidence that allowing plane loads full of travelers from the U.S. is not going to create an outbreak in their country. So that's kind of step number one.
Right.
I think step number two is getting people more comfortable with the idea of international travel again. So I think we had made great inroads at Cranor in providing really amazing programs, fantastic experience for students where they, both learn and live in another country, learn about it at the same time that they were making degree progress. And we made such great progress. But I think part of that was about setting a norm or an expectation that everybody should think about doing study abroad. So I think we have to overcome those two obstacles, the sort of legal travel aspect, as well as getting people confident again. So we are still planning for summer 2021. We've got study abroad trips on the books that we'll be advertising and recruiting for, and we're going to work very, very hard to make those trips great. Whether or not they can happen at this point is going to be determined by the progress of the virus, vaccines, and other countries' confidence in our ability to send a plane load full of people there and not create a problem.
Right. I haven't actually been able to fit in study abroad into my 4 years yet,
What?
and
What?
I know. I'm excited to do it though in the future though, so
Good.
it's definitely on my to-do list.
Good.
So as the dean of the Cranert School, you mentioned expectations. Are there any specific expectations that you're looking to see from Cranert students as to modifying their behavior for this fall semester?
Yeah, so I mean, I think that there are a couple of pieces to this, right? So the first is, you're going to have to get used to a slightly different classroom environment, right? And part of that is because we're, you'll be in class a little bit less than normal. There'll be a little bit more kind of, we had to thin out the classroom. So a typical student will be physically in the class a little bit less frequently than they would have been before. So the first piece there is taking the class as seriously as you would, or maybe even more seriously than if you had okay, it's 9:30 on Tuesday, it's time to be in this classroom. So
Sure.
I think that's the first piece. The second piece is, I think that people will be highly cognizant of the need to remain physically distanced from people and wear masks, certainly for the first couple of weeks. And then I think we'll get into September, and then people are going to be like, I'm tired of wearing this thing. And so I think what's really important is for students, both as individuals and as leaders on campus, to not say, oh, I'm bored with wearing a mask and I'm gonna take it off now because I don't think it's gonna be a problem. I think we have to have some stamina around this. And the extent to which we've run into problems in this country with the virus is, I think, really been a challenge of stamina. People are like, all right, I'm bored now. I want to do something different.
Right.
And you can't do that. I think the third thing is, I don't know if you saw the letter that President Daniels and the Dean of Students sent out yesterday.
I did.
They are quite serious about the issue of students hosting or attending parties where social distancing and masks are kind of thrown by the wayside. And leaving campus and doing that is not a free ticket. And they're really quite serious that if people are doing things that endanger the health of the entire community, they will be asked to leave campus. And so I think that may be a kind of tough pill for some people, but the way I would think about it, it's a couple of months in your life, and to do that in order to keep people safe is I think really, really important. I got to tell you, I've been working with faculty here, many of whom are older, who have health conditions, and they're willing to be in the classroom with students with the understanding that the students are going to reciprocate that mutual respect and not do something to endanger their lives. And so I just, I guess what I would ask people to think about here is, when you get bored, and look, I get bored of the mask too. I mean, it's just there's no,
it's uncomfortable.
It is, and let's not sugarcoat it. But if you think about it less in terms of, I've got this irritating piece of cloth on my face, and you think about it more in, what I'm doing now will protect the life of my favorite professor or my favorite advisor. And what, if somebody gave you the opportunity to save another person's life, and you ask yourself, well, it's going to be an inconvenience for me to save their life. Like, nobody thinks that way, right?
No.
And so if you put it in those terms, a small bit of sacrifice to protect people you care about and the people that you respect, I think, is not a big deal. And so I think that's what we're hoping to see from our students, and we're confident that they will be great partners with us on this.
You think that you can sometimes think that wearing your mask isn't making that big of a difference, or what if I just don't wear my mask today? It won't really impact anyone. I'm in South Florida, so I'm not too far from Miami. We drove through Miami, and you hear it all on the news. Nobody wears masks down there because they're tourists. They feel that they don't need to, and the virus spreads like wildfire just because no one's protecting themselves. So the social distance really it does have an impact and on themselves and on others, and the masks do as well. It's really important to follow those
No,
guidelines.
totally agree. And I'm going to tell you, the thing that has been so heartening to me is seeing the first wave of students coming back. Everybody's wearing masks. They're having fun anyway. It's been an engaging social and educational environment here. And so once you get over the mindset of, well, it's a neck, yeah, it's a pain in the neck. All right.
Right.
Lots of pain in the neck. But doing have a vibrant campus community, I think is worth a mild amount of inconvenience. So I'm confident that our amazing boys come together around this.
Agreed. Dean Hummels, I think we're going to wrap this up. Is there anything else that you'd like to say about our return to campus to students?
You know, I'll simply say that it's been a strange 5 months for all of us. You know, it's kind of hard to believe. In some ways, it seems like it was just yesterday that we were home. But on the other hand, so much has happened. It feels like a decade. And we here, staff, the faculty, we're so happy to people coming back. We just can't wait to see your face again and can't wait to engage with you. And so, so just it's just I just want to communicate the sense of how enthusiastic we all are to make this semester for everybody and in partnership with all the students to make it.
I think as a Purdue student, it's really impressive to see all the efforts that President Daniels has put in to try to keep us and the faculty safe in our return to campus, creating the Safe Campus Task Force, implementing those stickers on the ground and all the guidelines. So I think it's really reassuring, and I think it'll be great to return to campus. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. And I'll tell you. So I'll steal one of President's on. You know, it's going to be a battle to make this work. It's not a logical battle, but a battle. Right. And if we pull this off, it will be among the finest moments in this university. So look forward to everybody helping us make that finest reality.
Very well put. Dean Hummels, thank you as always. I appreciate it.
Hey, great talking to you, Kent. Look forward to seeing you, or at least part of your face, back.
Looking forward to it. Thank you. See you soon.
See ya. Bye-bye.
Bye.